Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to At the Book. A little bit different today. Coming live to you from Las Vegas, I'm Zach Ewing along with Jim Derry. On the right side of your screen, we are here outside Caesars Palace where the NFL Draft is just about 3 hours away from beginning. And in the middle of your screen is our producer, Devin Jackson. He is at the Caesars Sportsbook in New Orleans, at Harrah's New Orleans, and he is getting ready for the Pelicans and Suns Game 6. Yes, indeed, it is a big-time day here in Louisiana sports. NFL Draft, the Saints have 2 first-round picks. Pelicans fighting for survival against the Suns tonight. And we are here with you from Las Vegas, live for the draft, and live from New Orleans for the Pelicans and Suns. Special show, special sponsor. We do want to thank Tulane Doctors for bringing you this broadcast. We are brought to you by Tulane Doctors. Innovative research, inspired patient care. Visit TulaneDoctors.com for more information. And guys, it's an exciting day.
It sure is, and I'm just glad that we finally made it after all that traveling yesterday. It was a fun day, but looking forward to today. It should be interesting. As you can hear through my mic, it's nice and windy out here at Caesars Palace.
It is nice and windy, and it is very sunny. It's a very Las Vegas day. I apologize for the sunglasses, but this is probably better than me squinting at you all day. So we're going to do this.
I was wondering if you're going to wear those things on the air.
It's all good. I mean, I'm telling you right now, you wouldn't even be able to see my eyes if I took them off. So I'm just going to keep them on and be Joe Cool today. So just a little lay of the land here before we get into the ins and outs of the draft. We are at Caesars Sportsbook. I'm going to turn my camera around. That is Caesars Palace. And then behind us is the Bellagio. Across the street there is where the NFL Draft red carpet experience is coming. And then on the other side, we'll pan you around, that's the Las Vegas Strip. And then you see the Flamingo kind of between the columns there. There's Jim. And the NFL Draft Theater is actually behind the Flamingo. So it's sort of this entire area here set up in Las Vegas for the draft. Lots of NFL fans around, including lots of Saints fans. We may even talk to a few if they come by. It is definitely a pretty cool deal. And also, besides the Saints, we also have just a little bit of a chance of a real high LSU draft pick. In fact, a very good chance of a real high NFL draft pick. Bring up the odds. Here are your odds to be the number 1 pick in this year's draft. Travon Walker of Georgia has become the big favorite at minus 450. And then we see some movement today. Ike Ekwonu is now number 2 in line behind Aiden Hutchinson. And we'll get to more on that here in a minute. But what I want to get to is Derek Stingley. If you look at this, if we assume Travon Walker is going to go number 1 tonight, Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau of Oregon are heavy favorites to be the number 2 pick. Look who is suddenly the favorite to be the number 3 pick, guys. It's Derek Stingley.
Stingley has been kind of trending towards that way over the last week or so. You know, after a lot of people talked about he potentially would be a guy that maybe falls to like the teens in the first round. But it seems like the NFL is a lot higher than people in the media were about Stingley. And obviously the foot injury is a concern. But when he's on the field and healthy, he's one of the best players in this draft. So to me, it's not too much of a surprise, but you know, when I wrote the article yesterday about some of the top prospects, I think it was at plus 180. So it's gone down to now plus 110 for him to be number 3 overall pick. And it makes sense. You know, Texans seem like they're enamored with him, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I agree, and we're going to bring Robin Fambro on in a minute. And the first thing I'm going to want to ask her is, we've come a long way since we were covering Derek Stingley at the Dunham School back just a couple years ago. And I think we lost Zach, so I'll kind of take it over here for a second. But Devin, if we come back and bring in Robin, I think that you talk about how Derek Stingley has moved his way up, and as we bring in Robin Fambro, the advocate here, Robin, weren't we just covering him like yesterday at the Dunham School? We can't hear you, Robin. We can't hear.
Yeah, I think we might be having some technical difficulties with her sound.
We got Zach back too. So Zach, taking back over. We're talking about Derek Stingley and how far he's come, and really all these LSU guys. Robin and I have covered a lot of these guys throughout the years. I'm not sure if our audio is working yet or not, but man, time flies. It makes you just feel old when you see these guys now entering the draft. And it seems like yesterday I was covering Leonard Fournette at St. Augustine.
Yeah, Zach is muted. You're muted, Zach. But yeah. I mean, Stingley has been highly recruited, and maybe I'll win. Oh, looks like
it's okay. We got a good shot here. You can see behind me there. Go ahead, Devin. Bring us all back up.
I don't know what happened. Hold on.
Technical difficulties from Vegas. Look, I'm going to take this over because just for a second while I'm solo on the screen because it is super windy here. All right. One thing we're talking about today, and I'm really interested to see. I've seen so many, and we're going to get back to the players themselves, but I will say in my short time in Vegas, I got here. I didn't get in my room until 3:30 a.m. Central Time, so it has been a long 24 hours. But I will say that walking around, I have seen every single team, maybe except the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm not kidding. I think I've seen every single team except the Jacksonville Jaguars represented, and have talked to quite a few of them. There are lots of Houdat fans here. And I've seen LSU shirts. I've seen all kinds of things. And I wasn't expecting, I think. I was looking forward to the experience, but there's just a whole just vast amount of people that are here and representing everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and I apologize for the technical difficulties. We're trying to plug into an outdoor Ethernet cable here, and it's as much of an adventure as you might assume. But yeah, it's a tremendous atmosphere. You can see fans walking by, fans very excited to see who their team will pick this week. And to that end, I think somebody's going to end up with a real good corner in Derek Stingley. And I just want to check and see. Robin, can you hear us, or can we hear you? All right. Unfortunately, we're not able to connect with Robin. It doesn't sound like. So we'll probably have to let Robin go. I know she's trying to cover a track meet in Baton Rouge, and unfortunately can't seem to connect there.
Yeah, I'm still here though, so we can.
All right. Yeah, we'll keep grinding on though. We'll have Luke Johnson here in a few minutes to talk about the Saints draft. But let's talk about the number one pick here for a few minutes. Travon Walker of Georgia. 2 weeks ago was not even really in the conversation for this thing. And now it's all but assumed he's going to be a Jacksonville Jaguar.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure why. You look at I've listened to some people who cover the Jaguars, and they still think Aiden Hutchinson's the pick. So somebody knows something that someone else doesn't know. And I find it interesting because, I mean, Vegas is usually right, so I'm not sure I would want to bet on this, but I still hear that Aiden Hutchinson's the pick.
Well, and a lot of momentum for Ike Ekwonu too. I mean, of NC State. That's come on strong. He was over 10-1 a couple of days ago too. So I do think there maybe is a possibility. Is Jacksonville going to trade this pick if they think they can get Hutchinson at 2 or 3?
I think that's probably a more likely scenario. Go ahead, Devin. But I agree. I think that's a more likely scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them trading out at 1, but to me, I think they kind of eliminated drafting a tackle yesterday by extending Cam Robinson. So to me, I think that move there probably takes Evan Neal and Ike Ekwonu out of the equation. Now, Hutchinson or Walker, I mean, it's a difficult one because Hutchinson was one of the most dominant edge rushers in college football this year. But Travon Walker, his testing and athletic ability and kind of upside is the reason a lot of teams are clamoring for him. So I think for the Jaguars, they have a tough decision because you could get a player that is ready right now to make an impact or a Travon Walker that can impact the run game, but he's not the caliber of pass rusher that Kayvon Thibodeau or Aiden Hutchinson is. So I think for them specifically, I still have a feeling they'll probably go Travon Walker, even though that probably shouldn't be the pick, which will probably make the Lions take Aiden Hutchinson. But I don't think they can go wrong either way because they need good football players on the team, and both of them are high caliber football players.
You're telling me Jacksonville's going to do something they shouldn't do in the draft?
I mean, they hired a coach they shouldn't have hired. So
That is very true. That is very true. Now,
We
we'll bring
saw how
these
long
back
that
up.
lasted.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson, again, if he's not going to be the number 1 pick, it sure looks like he's going to end up going number 2 to the Detroit Lions. And then that would leave number 3, the Jets. They take Derek Stingley. Do we see Aiden Hutchinson fall that far? Is it Ekwonu? That's really where this draft gets real interesting for me, is at number 3.
yeah, they could
Yeah,
go
and I
either
agree.
way.
And I'm sorry, Devin. We had trouble with our mock draft the other day. I think even Devin, before we got, and I had the 3rd pick, and it was weird because it already didn't go the way that I thought it would go. So
And let me correct myself real quick, Jim. I'm sorry. Houston is number 3. I said Jets. Jets are number 4. It is Houston at number 3. Yeah.
Houston has 2 picks in the first round, and they have so many needs. It's hard to tell. I mean, I don't think they can go wrong with what they're going to pick best player available, not just because most teams that pick best player available is because they're good and they don't have to worry about they'll fit them in some kind of way. Houston's going to pick best player available because they need any of them.
Yeah, they're all needs, right?
Yeah, for Houston. I mean, and they pick again at 13, so they're going to have some interesting picks. Whether they pick Derek Stingley at 3, cornerback is certainly one of their needs. I'm just not sure that that's where you go that early in the draft. I think that's quite a reach. Don't get me wrong, I love Derek Stingley. I think he's a great player. I think he'll be a great player in the NFL. I just don't. I think that's kind of early for a cornerback. I think they'd be better served to go and pick probably an offensive line or something along that line.
Yeah, and that could be the pick. It is interesting looking at Stingley, though. I mean, he's really a inflection point in this draft. He was supposed to be around pick 10, 11, 12. His over-under was 10.5 a couple of weeks ago. Then it was 9.5. Now it's 7.5. He's almost even money now to be the first cornerback drafted at plus 120. As we talked about, he's plus 110 to be 3rd pick. But certainly, if you think he's going to be the number 3 pick, take first corner drafted, because if he's number 3, he's going to be first corner drafted. You get a little more value there. And then it looks like if it's not number 3, could it be number 7, which is the New York Giants? Could he go number 9 to the Seattle Seahawks? Those then become his likely landing spots. But look, you look at what he did in 2019 for the LSU Tigers, and this is just a tremendous player, and he was at a very young age too.
Yeah, he was incredible, and I think that's the reason teams have never, really fully, not been enamored with him. He's been when he's healthy, he's one of the top corners, without a doubt, and one of the top players in this class. Like I said earlier, it's just about is he healthy, and it seems like if he's going number 3 overall, he's checked off the health check marks that teams look for. And I think for the Texans, it kind of makes sense they go him at number 3 because they do have the number 13 pick. And then if Evan Neal or Kim Ekwonu were to fall out the top 6 or 7, they do have that extra pick in the first round to swap picks with the Giants or somebody else to get the offensive lineman that they want. So I think for them, it's more strategic wise because one of these guys have to fall outside the top 5. All of them are not going to go in the top 5.
That's just a math problem right there. Well, let's move on to who the Saints are going to pick. We're live at the book here. Jim, Derry, and myself live from Las Vegas. Devin Jackson live from the Caesars Sportsbook at New Orleans. We happy to bring on Luke Johnson, one of the Saints beat writers for the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com. And we'll talk to Luke about what the Saints are planning. The Saints have 2 first-round picks at 16 and 19. And Luke, that's where you come in, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Unfortunately, I'm not chilling in Vegas with the rest of y'all, but New Orleans will have to do today, I guess.
Yeah, New Orleans is not a bad consolation prize. We're, we're not quite poolside, but we're pretty close, so it's a good day.
Luke, well, it's probably a good thing you're not on camera with your beach attire, Zach. So
speak for yourself,
man.
Man.
See, you just ruined the show, Luke. I don't even know if I can go on now. I mean, you found a way to ruin Vegas for me, and that did it.
I've got to give the people what they want. All right, the Saints have 2 first-round picks. They're at 16 and 19. I guess we'll start with this. Is it your feeling that they will stay in those spots, that they will pick twice in the first round? Could they move up? Could they move back? Pretty much everything's on the table right now.
Yeah, I mean, I still think they're going to have 2 first-round picks. I'd probably be surprised if they stuck with 16 and 19. Just looking at Mickey Loomis's history, the guy loves to trade more than probably anything else out there. So I don't think, though, that involves trading 16 and 19 to move up, let's say, into the top 5 or 6 picks. I think that I think if there's a trade, it's somebody who falls a little bit lower than they were anticipating. Maybe they can package one of those first along with another draft asset to move up a little bit higher. But I still think that it ends up tonight with them making 2 picks.
Yeah, the Saints really do need to knock it out of the park. I mean, they made this trade with the Eagles, Luke, to get in to move into the first round again, and mortgage just a little bit of the future next year's first round pick. And I mean, I guess the feeling there is they feel like if they do hit a home run in this draft, it turns them into a playoff team, maybe even a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a gamble on themselves, right? Because if the bottom falls out next year, which is possible, then that becomes a very, very good trade for the Eagles and a bad trade for the Saints. But they believe they have a playoff caliber roster right now. Just needs a few more pieces to it, and they're kind of banking on picking in the back end of the first round next year and getting good value for the trade this year.
Luke,
go ahead.
Let me ask you. I mean, we have the odds of the first position pick. The odds makers. I'm kind of baffled a little bit why they think the first position they're going to pick is a quarterback. Vegas usually knows more than I do, but I just find this super strange. I can't believe. I think that there's a better chance that there's something weird like running back than they take a quarterback. I mean, I don't think they're going to take a running back first. I'm just saying. I think it's super strange that they think plus 175. There's a 1.75 chance out of close to even money that they take a quarterback. Do you find this strange?
Yeah, I find it a little bit strange. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they took a quarterback. But I think if I'm betting money on it, I'm not betting money on the quarterback, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
I think they're the 2 top clear needs are you see it right there in offensive line and wide receiver. Those are obvious, right? But I think the Saints historically have also proven they're not going to follow this obvious path that other people want them to take. And with all that said, like I wouldn't be surprised if they took a quarterback, just because they're not settled at the position for the future. Jameis Winston came back on a 2-year contract, and if they really like somebody and they think that somebody can be a high-level quarterback in the league, they owe it to themselves to make that pick, because they're not, their future's not set there. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'd put it a little bit lower on my list of I'd probably put it below like defensive tackle if like Jordan Davis is available. I think there's other areas where I would expect them to address first.
If they do take a receiver, it's a pretty good draft for receivers. I think there's 6.5 is the number expected to be drafted in the first round. Who have you heard that they like? I mean, obviously it depends on who falls to them, or if there's a position where they can jump up and grab somebody. But is there one of those names, a Chris Olave, Treylon Burks, a Drake London? I mean, somebody who you think really fits the system and the Saints would really love to end up with?
Well, I think the name I keep coming back to is Chris Olave, just because you just watch that guy and he looks like what they want in a receiver. Maybe he's not as big as the typical Saints receiver. I think he's only about 6 feet tall, but he can fly. He ran a sub 4.40. He's a very smooth football player, and they like those intelligent, crisp route runners, and he just really fits what they're looking for in that regard. I personally really like Jameson Williams. I think he would be just add an awesome element to this offense. Something they haven't had in a long time is somebody who can just stretch the field. I think he'd be really good. I don't know if he'll be there when the Saints' turn comes around. He's been a guy who's kind of gotten some late legs here in the draft process, and he might even go top 10. But those two are the two, and then kind of the dark horse that it depends on how the Saints feel about the guy. But I'm even blanking on his last name right now. The North Dakota State kid.
Christian Watson.
Christian Watson, yeah. Big dude, 6'4", super productive in college. He played for a small school, but I don't think that's scared him off in the past. And he can absolutely fly. He's another guy who, I think people are probably sleeping on a little bit because he played at a small level college in North Dakota State. But obviously, it's a very successful program. They've pumped out a couple good pros in the last couple of years. And I think he's kind of like a dark horse guy, especially if they trade back a little bit in the first.
Yeah, Luke, and obviously we talked about receivers and we talked about quarterback, but the offensive tackle group is a big group for the Saints to upgrade. Obviously, lost to Ron Armstead to free agency. Who do you think they may target? Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa. And as of the last few days, there's been talking Evan Neal may slide a little bit. So could you see the Saints trading up to get one of those big tackles if they were to fall past like 5 or 6?
Yeah, I mean, I could. Like if they do trade up, I think that's the move. Unless it's to get somebody like Notre Dame safety Kyle Hamilton. I think he's the other one I'm kind of keeping an eye on if he slides a little bit. But yeah, I think there's 3 just absolutely elite tackles in this class. It's Evan Neal, it's Ike Ekwonu, and it's Charles Cross from Mississippi State. And I think if any of those guys slips past the top 10, you might see the Saints get aggressive and try to make a move up. And I think that's going to be, it might be a little bit challenging. Mickey Loomis was talking yesterday about supply and demand when it comes to trading. And I think there's going to be a lot of demand for those kind of mid-round level picks, especially teams in the back end like the Packers and the Chiefs who might want to move up and get a receiver of their choice. I think it could be kind of a competitive market there for a team trying to trade up to like number 11 or 12 or 13. Like those 3 players.
Well, we lost Luke, but there he is again. Well, he's back. All right, Luke, you got cut off there in the middle. But go ahead and finish what you're talking about offensive line, because I know what the other guys think. To me, I think it's the most pressing need. And I think that I agree with you that if they do trade up, it may not be the sexy thing to do, but I think that if they trade up, that's what they're trading up for. Because if there's a run early and the Saints get a little nervous, that's where they could go.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I just think that there's a good chance that 3 of those guys are gone by the time they pick at 16. And maybe they're really comfortable with Penning. I think he'll be there. He's a super athlete. The guy is tough as nails, but I think the technique is probably a little bit behind those top 3 guys. He's going to probably need a little bit more time to kind of develop into the player you want him to be. So there's a little bit more risk involved with that. And I think they could probably see some of these other guys and think they're sure things and go ahead and make the move.
Well, speaking of demand, Luke Johnson is high in demand today, and I know he's got a radio interview to get to at 4:30. So last question, Luke. I want you to call your shot. Where do the Saints actually make their first pick tonight? And this is pressing for New Orleans fans now. You got the Pelicans playing at 6:30. The draft starts at 7. First 5 picks or so usually take about an hour, and then it goes a little bit faster from there. So
don't trade up.
9 o'clock? Yeah, I mean, let's stake your claim. We'll put you on the spot. Where do the Saints make their first pick tonight?
I still think it's going to be 16. I think it just there's going to be players there that they like. I don't think they have to force a move there, and I think they still have some holes to fill on this roster where that 3rd round pick is going to come in handy. So I still think it's 16. But if I had to guess at a spot where they could move up, I would say 13. Houston Texans have 2 first round picks right now. and they have a lot of holes on their roster. That would be, if you see a guy sliding, I think that'd be an ideal spot for them to move up.
Yeah, maybe a Kyle Hamilton or a Jameson Williams, a couple of the names you mentioned. Or if Devin, like you're saying, if Evan Neal slides out of the top 10 and you could go up and get him and get that ready-made tackle, that would be a spot. So Luke, really, thanks for joining us. It's a pivotal night for the Saints franchise. It really is.
Yeah. Hey, it's a great night to be in New Orleans. I'll tell you that. Pels game, you're going to be playing in the draft room. Dennis Allen's making his first draft as a head coach of the New Orleans Saints. And who knows? Like maybe we're all wrong and the odds makers are right, and they take a quarterback and get real weird tonight. So it'll be fun.
Get freaky. All right.
Thanks,
not freaky enough. Yeah. I won't put my Swiftler on. Not that freaky. Thank you, Luke.
Thanks, guys.
So that's Luke Johnson, Saints beat writer for Times-Picayune and NOLA.com. Appreciate him joining us. And now we'll do what we haven't done yet. We'll talk a little Pelicans because that's the other big thing going on tonight, right? This is At the Book, brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook here on bet.nola.com. A special edition live from the NFL Draft, also brought to you by the Tulane Doctors. And so we appreciate all of their support. You can leave your comments on Facebook and YouTube, and we will get them up on screen as we can. But let's talk a little Pelicans. Pelicans playing the Suns tonight. Their season is on the line. The first two times it was on the line, we had you know what? Hold on 1 second before we do that. Actually, we've got
a little
Saints
surprise coming up. We got some.
Yeah, we got some hoot. We got a Saints fan coming by. Come on over here. We're live in the draft. We told you we had a lot of Saints fans coming by, and here is one of them. I can barely see my screen, so I hope they can see you. What is your name, sir?
Hakeem Shabazz.
And where are you from, Hakeem?
I'm actually from Connecticut.
From Connecticut, but a Saints fan. How'd that work out?
Well, I used to be a diehard Niners fan, but then when they traded Montana, I went to the sorriest team, which was the Saints at that time. I stuck with them ever since.
It's worked out pretty well. You got the number 9 jersey.
There it is.
All right, so they got picks at 16 and 19 tonight. What are you thinking?
It's up in the air because we got a lot of talent everywhere.
Did you know the odds makers say the most likely spot?
We're having trouble hearing him, Zach. Zach, we're having trouble hearing him.
I'll get closer. My mic's in my ear. So he says he's looking at offensive line, and I agree with that, Hakeem. Most of us do. But the odds makers say that the most likely position the Saints pick first is quarterback at plus 175.
You know what? We can. I mean, if we get a good choice, we're always going to have a backup and see because we're still young in here. We're still redeveloping our, the programs. That's what I look at it. We can go either way.
How nervous are you about the future of the franchise?
Not too nervous because we have consistency. We can go out and hire somebody who knows the programs. We'll be back.
All right, Hakeem. Well, a Saints fan from Connecticut who was a Niners fan is now this is Las Vegas, baby. This is perfect.
Yeah, it's Las Vegas. Everybody said, "Why are you not a Raiders fan?" Like,
oh boy! All right, well, Hakeem, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us, and enjoy the night, man.
Anytime, and enjoy.
All right, we'll do. That's Hakeem. He's walking through Las Vegas Caesars Palace with a Saints jersey on. Hopefully, y'all can hear most of that. Likes the offensive line idea, but thinks quarterback's not crazy.
Quarterback's crazy.
I think it's crazy too. I don't get it. Jameis Winston's a good quarterback. Andy Dalton's a good backup quarterback. And you have Taysom Hill to play in an emergency. What do you need a quarterback for?
See, and that's part of the thing too, Zach. I think that if you go out and get a backup like Andy Dalton, I don't think they have any plans at all on drafting a quarterback right now. And I know that people think that they saw one game from Ian Book and that he can't make – he's still going to be on the practice squad. I think they're still going to try to develop him and see what they have. I got to be honest. I don't think the Saints draft a quarterback anywhere in this draft, not in the first round. Maybe if some kind of value comes late, maybe. But I would be really, really surprised if they draft a quarterback early.
And they still have Ian Book floating around. I mean, look, his first start was a disaster. It wasn't really fair. But if you're looking at a quarterback in the future, they have him floating around too.
That's the point. I mean, you still don't even know what you have yet, and people are poo-pooing on him because he played one game and it was terrible, and he didn't have any of his offensive linemen, and it was a COVID week, and he just started because he had to, and I'm not saying he's gonna be a starter one day or not. He may or may not be, but we don't know. And I think the Saints don't know, and I think they're willing to give him a chance because I think that he has the intangibles that could lead him to be good. The point is, you sign Jameis to a 2-year deal. You got Andy Dalton as a backup. You don't have a quarterback is not a need at all, and you're not going to use the first round pick to do it.
You can see how windy it is out here because my camera's shaking. But anyway, that was a nice little surprise. We had a Saints fan walking by, decided to get Hakeem on the show live here from Las Vegas. But let's pivot to the Pelicans real quick, and we're going to bring in Spencer the Guru Urquhart, who is in New Orleans for the big game. Pelicans 2-point underdogs tonight. This is the other big story in New Orleans sports. Spencer, how are you?
Doing pretty good, Zach. Just here at the book with Devin. Just got some breaking news, though, Pels fans probably won't be too pleased about.
Okay, break it for us because we're out of the loop.
Oh, yeah, it's Devin Booker. Devin Booker is going to return tonight, and as a result, the line is now 3.5 points in favor of Phoenix.
Look at that, Devin Booker back. I got to be honest. If I'm Phoenix, I don't know if I'm crazy about that idea.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty risky.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you would do that. I'm not sure why you would bring Devin Booker back here unless you're sure that he's 100%. And it may be a thing where he plays 10 or 12 minutes and you stretch him out, pardon the pun, with his hamstring. But maybe he just comes in and plays a little bit and they see how he is and he's just active.
Yeah, that could certainly be. I mean, I feel like Game 7, if you're the Suns and your season is on the line, and you might push him a little bit to come back, but you've got a 3-2 lead. I'm not totally sure I understand that.
I think they really do think that he's a legitimate threat, or the Pelicans are a legitimate threat to win this game tonight. And I think their mindset is they want to end the game, before it gets going. So. Well, we'll see what happens, but I have a feeling the Suns want to end the series tonight, and if Devin Booker is healthy enough to go, I think they want to make sure that it happens.
And look, guys, we've talked about this. The Pelicans are pardon the pun, but they're playing with house money right now. They could lose by 50 tonight, and it's still a successful season. It was still a successful series. Having said that, Spencer, how do you feel about their chances tonight? Booker's back. They're 3.5-point underdogs, but they're playing at home. A lot of emotion. What's your feeling on tonight's game?
Really good right now. I mean, I'm still feeling pretty good. I feel like the Pels, I don't think this ends their chances by any means. I feel like they've still got a solid chance. But the only thing is, though, if with a healthy Booker, it's just going to be even tougher to defend them because with Bridges in Game 5, it just goes to show they have more than just CP3 and Ayton. And so with Booker back, that opens up more for those other guys. So I'm somewhat concerned. But the thing with Booker coming back this quick, we all know how hamstrings can be. If he would re-aggravate that hamstring in the middle of the game, I think the Pels would win by double digits because in the Suns, all the wind will be out of their sails at that point. They won't know what to do because then they might be without Booker for the next round. So they better hope this gamble pays off. If I was them, I'd have waited if there was a Game 7, but I kind of see why they did it. But, man, it's a big risk because if it doesn't work out, Pels might win the series.
All the wins in Vegas.
Yeah, the wind in the sails. We have a little bet.NOLA.com background to try to put up. And I tried to put it up. It's so windy that it actually did turn into a sail and started pulling me across this platform up here.
It's literally... I had to put my bag behind my computer screen so my camera would stop shaking, and now my bag's about to blow away, and it's full. So,
yeah, it's
windy
and warm. It is a Vegas day out here. I mean, look, you're in the desert.
Nice.
That's what it is. So, anyway, look, I agree with you guys. I guess the one thing I'll say is the Suns bother doing this if the doctors hadn't signed off and said, hey, no chance he makes it worse. Let's go see what he can do. I mean, with a hamstring, I just don't see how that's the case.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it could certainly happen.
Yeah, because it's just like I said, if he would re-aggravate it, then it's just all the momentum shifts. But he must be pretty confident in it. So, it's just frustrating. I thought he was out for the series, but if he's 100%, then that's not good news. But hopefully the Pels. Well, that's one thing with the Pels. they've defied the odds ever since the play-in tournament. A lot of people had them getting knocked out against the Clippers, so it's not time to write them off quite yet.
And I mean, look, they were ahead of the Suns in Game 2 when Booker went out, and that was in Phoenix. It's not impossible to beat them with Devin Booker. It's just a lot more difficult. The other games tonight are two other Game 6s, and it's 76ers at Raptors. The Sixers had a 3-0 lead in this series, and now are just slight favorites to avoid a Game 7, and I kind of like Toronto, guys.
Yeah, 76ers have been playing very poorly the last couple of games. They kind of like that sense of urgency you would like to see in the team that's looking to close out the series. And, I mean, they went up 3-0, and Nick Nurse, the Toronto Raptors head coach, still had no panic in him, you know. They said 3-0 has never been done before, but 3-1 has, and then they went out and won the next game too. So the 76ers have to close out this game because they're in danger of blowing this and making history in the wrong way, and it will be another Doc Rivers-led team that once again blows a big series lead.
And then the other Game 6 tonight in Utah, that's the late game. Dallas trying to close out that series. Game 6 is a pick, Jim.
Yeah, I think Dallas is clearly the better team here. I mean, I don't know about the Sixers Raptors. I don't have the reason why I would probably take the Sixers if I had to is because it seems like now all the talking heads are jumping on the you were up 3-0 bandwagon and you could be the first team to blah blah blah. The Sixers are still going to win the series whether it's tonight or in Game 7. But the Mavericks I think are clearly better than the Jazz, and I think it'll show tonight. I like those at Pick'em, and then I picked. I mean, our fans aren't going to want to hear this, but I took the Suns before we left the house because we can't bet on our apps, and you can't bet on your phone in Vegas. So I made all my bets.
Well, now you can, but you got to download a special app, and then
you got to deposit money into it, and then you got to
deposit money in cash. And you have to be at a physical sportsbook location to download the app. No. I actually did this. I downloaded the Caesars Sportsbook app in Nevada to see what it was like. That you had to be geo-fenced in a sportsbook and take a photo of yourself in the sportsbook so that they could see the sportsbook in the background before they would approve your data. I mean, the laws are crazy. They really are.
So they don't mess around.
You could bet anywhere.
Yeah, they don't mess around.
No, that much is true. And betting on the NFL draft, by the way, closed down here at 5:00 Vegas time yesterday, 24 hours before the draft. And draft betting's weird. We'll talk about that a little bit more to end the show. First off, NBA playoff series prices. These top 4 are the 4 first-round series left. The bottom one is the only second-round series that is set. The Celtics are favored over the Bucks in that one. It starts on Sunday. As you see, the Suns are now heavy favorites again over the Pels. Not as heavy as they were to start the series. And the 76ers Raptors, by the way, that one was, you could get the Raptors at 30-1 a week ago to win that series. Now it's 4-1.
Yeah, all the series are pretty enough in to where I don't really see much value with any of the first rounders left. I do like the Celtics though over the Bucks in the next one. You know, they are favorite. I just feel like with Tatum and those guys, they're going to go to the finals.
No, I agree, and I don't have to tell you guys that I've been all over the Celtics really since the regular season. The one piece of value I do kind of see here, and I'll let you guys laugh at me if you want, but Minnesota 5-1. I mean, I listen. I know John Morant. I know he's been clutch. I know that they've won some close games. The Timberwolves easily could have won the series 4-1 already. They have been in control of 4 of the 5 games of the series. Who's to say they can't win at home tomorrow and then win Game 7 on? I mean, at 5-1, it's worth the chance. I think.
I think you're watching different series than I'm watching.
I guess so. Because are you telling me the Timberwolves have not been in control of 4 or 5 games?
In control for how long?
About 46 of 48 minutes.
That's not what I saw. I mean,
I guess we're not watching the same series then.
And I mean, they seemed to be in control until about the middle of the third quarter in game 5 or 6, whatever, 5, I guess.
Middle of the fourth quarter, you mean? I mean, it was
they started coming back and they let it slip away again a little bit, and then the last 8 minutes of the fourth quarter, they just took over and ran away with it. So I mean, look, the Grizzlies are a streaky kind of team. Hence why, even though I like my odds at 40-1, which is what I bet them a couple months ago, I wouldn't even think about betting them now, because if they went on a run, they can win the NBA championship, but they could also lose to some stinky team too, is just as easy. But there's no questioning their talent. But it's funny because Ja Morant just sometimes, we saw 2 games ago, it's like he disappeared for about 2 quarters. So I don't know. I don't love the Grizzlies as much as I did a month or so ago, but I think they're way better than the Timberwolves. That's just my opinion.
All right, Spencer, we're going to let you have the last say here. I know you got to get going and get over to the arena. It starts in less than 2 hours now, but what is the key for the Pelicans tonight? I mean, Devin Booker's back. That obviously changes the equation. Mikal Bridges was amazing in Game 5, won the game for Phoenix. The Suns' depth has really been a problem. So what do the Pelicans do in Game 6?
Right, yeah, I would say they've gotta be hot shooting the ball. You know, CJ and BI, they've got to be ready. You know, BI's got to stay tough. You know, can't have a re-injury. It was a pinky finger the last game. So hopefully he's over that and hitting those shots, because that's the key with Booker back. It's going to be, I think I would take the over tonight, because it's going to be, I feel like, a pretty high-scoring game there in the blender. And I hope the Pels have enough to do it, and hopefully then the rookies, too. Hopefully the rookies can continue doing their thing on defense, man. Herb Jones and Jose Alvarado. It's so fun to watch.
Absolutely. And we're going to pivot back to the draft here to finish up the show. And Spencer, before you go, your thoughts on that. Give us a surprise that could happen tonight. What's something that could happen in tonight's first round that maybe not a lot of people are talking about?
Okay, yeah, surprise tonight. Yeah, try to think something good, something spicy. Yeah, I'm thinking the Jets, the Debo thing could happen, or Debo gets traded to the Jets and the 49ers get one of those first round picks. And what the Niners do there is kind of a mystery, because they don't really have any big needs. But I'm thinking if they do get there, with that 10th pick, I'm thinking that could be a good landing spot for Kyle Hamilton to slide into that other safety spot, because they haven't re-signed the dude Tart that dropped the interception in the playoff game there. So yeah, I'm thinking the Niners do it, then that they'll probably go DB with if they can get one of those top 10 picks from the Jets.
Spencer's one of a kind. The dude Tart who dropped the interception. I love that.
Yeah, Jaworski Tart, I think is his name. But yeah, he's still a free agent.
You gotta put a couple of extra little at the end. It's 2 T's, Dan.
That's right. The dude Tart. The dude abides. Yeah. Well, Spencer, we appreciate it, and get over to the arena, man, and we will.
Yep, will do. Y'all have fun at the draft.
Zach's having some technical issues. I don't know if you can hear me or not, Zach, but you're lagging a little bit. Your audio just got chopped up a little bit too. Devin, I want to bring you in because as we're getting towards the end of the show here, we're going to have to make our way towards the red carpet and all that, or that way. I don't know where we're going. I'm following Zach. So, what do you think tonight? Saints draft. I mean, we talked about. I mean, there's all this stuff about quarterback and plus 175, and I just think it's kind of silly. What do you think?
I think the only way they go quarterback is if a guy like Malik Willis falls to them, because we know the Saints were enamored with Patrick Mahomes, and that's who they wanted to select before Kansas City sniped them 4 or 5 years ago. So I think for them, it's going to be kind of play it by ear, see what happens in the first 5 to 6 picks before I think they really lock into what they want. But to me, I think the pick is go get a tackle if it's there. You know, if you can make a trade with like the Giants or the Panthers or someone in that like 6 to 9 range, you go up and get them, and then you get a receiver, because a receiver is going to be there at 19. It just depends on who you want. It may not be the receiver you wanted, like a Chris Olave or Jameson Williams, but there's a receiver of high caliber. And maybe they wait till the second or third round to go ahead and get a receiver. I don't think they have a second round pick this year, but maybe they wait till the third round to go get a receiver. But I think for them, the focus is getting a franchise left tackle and then worry about everything else after that.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I think that and I agree with Luke, and I've heard a couple other people say, and I think that is the only way the Saints trade up. I think the only way they trade up is if, like you said, if somehow Evan Neal starts slipping a little bit and they can get a guy like that, or if they're afraid Trevor Penning's going to go. I think those are the two guys that obviously, and Charles Cross maybe, one of those three guys. If those three guys are within reach and you're scared, I mean, because you got to watch Dallas. Dallas could make a move too. And, if they make a move, they could be looking for a skill position player. But I think Jerry Jones, I think if they make a move, they're also looking for an offensive lineman. So the Saints will be kind of monitoring that a little bit as well.
Yeah, I've heard reports that they're targeting either Tyler Smith or Trevor Penning in the first round. So that definitely makes sense. Maybe they trade up to 13 with Houston and try to get Trevor Penning if all those big tackles are gone. So the Saints are going to have to play a little bit of chess tonight and try to get the guy they want, because there's a good chance if they weigh at 16 to 19, those guys are going to be gone.
All right, did the Saints draft a quarterback at all tonight?
No, I don't think so. I think we're going to see another team trade up for a quarterback. I think the Steelers are probably going to trade up in the top 10 to get Malik Willis because they just love him and they just want to get him. And maybe a team trades up for Kenny Pickett. But I don't see – if Malik Willis isn't there for the Saints at 16, I don't think they even think about getting a quarterback outside of him, maybe. So I don't think they go quarterback in the first round.
Who is the draft pick that falls this year? Every year you got a guy that's projected to go in the top 5 or 7, and he goes around 18 to 20. Who's that guy this year?
Probably Kyle Hamilton. I would say he probably is the one that's most likely to fall because the NFL just does not value safeties in the top 10 to 15 picks. I mean, we haven't seen one since Jamal Adams go in the top 5, top 10. So we've seen a guy like Derwin James.
That worked out okay.
Yeah, it did. Derwin James, he was the last one that was really talked about in the top 5 or top 10. He lasted all the way, I think, till 17 or 18 and went to the Chargers. So I think that Kyle Hamilton's probably the most likely one to fall. Him or Jermaine Johnson will be my 2 picks.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
We can, and your lips are actually moving with your words, and there's not all kinds of this mumbo jumbo going on around with your video. It's looking good.
This show has been the Wild West in more ways than one, man.
Look, Uncle Big Nick brings up a good point. You see, the problem is, Nick, what he doesn't tell you is before I got here last night, he was part of the live show that they had in Caesars last night with Amateur Risky Business Night. So he forgot to take them off. I mean, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. He's got his shades on, and there it is.
All I have to say is that I get the shady spot tomorrow because this is brutal over here. I can't even see my screen. So, by the way, we will be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock for a live show before the second and third rounds of the draft. The Saints right now have a pick in the second round at number 49, have a pick in the third round, I believe, at number 98, just before the end of the third round. And so we'll see what happens with those. First, we got to see what happens tonight. Maybe they'll trade all of those picks. Maybe they'll have more picks tomorrow. They'll have at least one new player, I would think, probably 2 by the end of the night. Guys, same question I asked Spencer. Give me something crazy that happens tonight. There always is something, and I like Spencer's answer. Maybe we see the Deebo Samuel trade.
Yeah, I'll go first. I think tonight we're going to see 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. I think we're going to get probably 2 in the top 15 and then a third probably in the 20s will be my guess. And I think someone's going to trade up either out of the second round up into the first round or something like that. But I think we're going to see probably 5 to 6 trades tonight in total and see a lot of teams giving up some day 2 and day 3 picks to get the guys they want. So I think we see 3 quarterbacks and then we see at least 5 to 6 trades here in the first round.
All right, Jim, how about you? Something off the wall that might happen tonight.
2 things. I think there are going to be 9 wide receivers drafted in the first round. Is my first weird pick. My second weird pick is the Saints rarely, if ever, do this. I'd have to go back and look and see the last time they did this. I am saying the Saints trade down. I think they're going to stay at 16, but I think they're going to trade out of the first round with their 19th pick. I think they're only going to have one pick tonight. That is my upset special.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I will go ahead and say, I don't know if this is a surprise anymore. I think the Houston Texans take Derek Stingley at number 3. I think he goes to Houston. I think he becomes a top 3 pick and is one of the surprises of the night.
They're Houston, so who knows? That would be, I love Derek Stingley, but that would be a horrendous decision. But they are the Houston Texans, and that is absolutely possible.
A lockdown corner is something every team could use, man.
I'm not sure Derek Stingley's lockdown, but he's only played 2 years, and he's been banged up a lot over the course of 3 years, which would scare the bejesus out of me if I'm using my 3rd pick on someone like that.
That is not a bad point. I mean, it would be risky, but that is my crazy prediction for something off the wall that happens tonight.
It could happen.
I'll tell you what we got going ahead. Spencer will be at the Smoothie King Center. Jim and I will be live at the draft. We're going to do a few more videos tonight. We're actually going to go live on the NOLA.com Facebook page and bet.NOLA.com Facebook page right around the time the Saints are supposed to pick. So now if they trade up, we're going to have to scramble. We'll get on as soon as we can. But otherwise, tune in right around the time where it picks 14 or 15. We're going to take you live through the Saints 2 picks. We're going to talk about what could happen, what's happened so far, what trades they might be making, and then we're going to react live to whatever it is that the Saints do. So keep it locked on the NOLA.com Facebook page or the bet.NOLA.com Facebook page tonight. And then we'll be back here at 4 o'clock Central Time tomorrow to preview the 2nd and 3rd rounds of the draft.
That is if I'm still alive.
Wow,
it's
been
crazy.
Really serious. Are you okay?
Let's say I didn't get any sleep. Been running around looking for shoes. I got here. It's just insane, and we haven't even got to the fun. We haven't even got to the fun part. I mean, there are women dressed up like flamingos. I don't know what's going on around here. I mean, it's crazy.
It is Vegas. It is Vegas, and we
Vegas.
are at the book. Bet.NOLA.com live from Las Vegas. Hey, our NFL draft shows are brought to you by Tulane Doctors. Innovative research, inspired patient care. Visit TulaneDoctors.com for more information. Do yourself a favor. Take care of yourself and your loved ones, and make sure that you do that. Well, for Devin Jackson and Spencer the Guru Urquhart, they were live in New Orleans, and Jim Derry live here in Las Vegas with me. This has been At the Book for April 28th, a special edition live from Las Vegas. Again, we'll be with you live right around pick 14 or 15 tonight. Tune in to the NOLA.com Facebook page and the bet.NOLA.com Facebook page, and we will react live to the Saints' decisions with you. Until then, have a good day, everybody.